Okay, we're recording now. Alright. Added some ifs, else's in there. Alright, so the question is, am I going to attempt to add the color swap functionality to the game? And that's a hard thing to answer. I don't know if I'm like, it's hard to change it. It's hard. Oh yeah, that was just a test thing. Some of these functions don't even exist anymore, nor should they. Like these things, like these don't need to exist anymore. I think we need to go to the top of the server code and just like look at where the colors are assigned in the game. It's in the game is where the colors are assigned. So here's where the actual game logic starts beginning. And this is very silly. So empty color, I already commented try to remove this because like I don't really want this hex string in my server code, but I ended up kind of needing it for some stuff. And let me see where I even use it. So I use it in a few places. When I first initialized the board. Okay, so this, what I need to change here is that like, instead of color being a hex value, it should simply signify like what, like if it's like which player number it is, or if it's like an empty or a mixed between the two player colors. It should not actually store the hex code though. It should not. The block itself should not store the hex color. Like, because the hex colors are going to be swappable. So this does not need to be on the server side. Like, the hex code does not. So this is one place where I have to change. Next place is here. So this is again, I'm using Notepad++. Okay, so this again is returning a hex string. And I even have the, you know, this function mix that like actually mixes two hex colors together. See, like what I'm doing is I'm grabbing yeah, so possession is the socket ID of the player who has possession of the square. So that's fine. It's sending in the socket ID. But then it's actually trying to, and then in the game data, the player has their color as a hex value, which exists, that's actually okay. What's not okay though, what's not okay is actually storing the board with hex colors. Instead, it just needs to store like who has possession, I guess. And so I need a way to differentiate like which player. I just need a way to differentiate like if it's empty, player 1, player 2, mixed. And potentially, if there's 3 and 4 player games, etc., I would need to be able to differentiate those as well. And yeah, so like this, for example, this is only for if you have more than 2 players, which doesn't exist right now. So this is just like a little bit of code that was supposed to be for like if there's like multiplayer, like 3 to 4, 5, 6 players, whatever. It's like a to-do, just like a to-do thing, but this will never be over 2, right? Like currently. It's always gonna max out at 2. But yeah, so I'm like returning the color, but get color. So this function returns a hex value for the board. So if I look at like get color, so here we're setting a board position's color, which again, this should not happen. It has the okay, the block has the possession. So the block already knows. Like the board knows who has possession. It's almost like the color value should not be used at all. It's almost like the color value should not exist on the board position. It's like that shouldn't exist. Only possession should exist, I think. I only need possession, I think. However, if I only have possession, I also need to know on the client side what those socket IDs hex colors are. So I need the client to know when you have a player's socket ID, what is their color? It needs to know their color. So I need to figure out how the client can know, but it should not store the actual color on the board itself. I mean, I'm gonna be coloring the board, but that's gonna be done not on the game data, not on the server data. This should be done client side. So here's one instance of get color. Where else is it used? Here it is again. Oh yeah, so this is actually even more complicated. I have this spread animation that has like a bunch, it has directions on how in between each turn how the color should like animate and spread. And I'm passing in hex colors for that. But again, what I really need is not the hex colors. I need to know who would have possession on that frame of the animation. So instead of hex colors, this needs to actually just know. This really needs to have like possession arrays. So what is past layer? Past layer is game data, game board. So this is like a block on the board. Dot possession spread. So I don't even remember what possession spread is. Possession spread. And it uses socket ID. I need to figure out what possession spread is then. Set possession spread color. See, I need to like really work through this and like I need to like this part's complicated. This part right here is complicated. This part's complicated and I need to like rework this. It's complicated. Okay, is get color used anywhere else? Okay, when it wipes the possession. So like when it removes one player's possession, it needs to recolor the board. Or at least it does need to recolor the board, but again, instead of having an actual hex color on the server, it should simply let the client know who has possession, and the client also needs to know whose ID matches with what their actual hex color is, and also if the player's option is to use default colors or custom colors instead of the player color, then it can use that instead. So this is complicated. Okay, so this is during my options detection function, which has to do with detecting. This is the initial detection of where the color goes. And so I actually set, I have a new position on the board, and I'm actually setting the color based on who has possession. Again, this is something that should be client-side, though. This needs to be client-side now. This can't be server-side anymore. So we already have in the game data, we have the possession array, like, on that, like, we have it. It's already set. It's like this line of code is not needed. Like, anything with dot color for the board, anything where the board has a color needs to be, like, removed, basically. But then it needs to be, like, the actual rendering of it needs to be reworked on the client side. It's almost like what I should do. Yeah, so it's used in wipe and detect. It's used for possession spread animation, which is all this. It's used for wipe possession. It's used for setting the color in options detection. And that's it. That's the only place it's used. So I have to work through each of these instances and solve the problem. But now also I should look up, find where color is used. So color push, what is this? Okay, so this has the player, this is setting the color. This is actually okay, because this is setting what the player's color is, which the client needs to know. The client needs to know this. But then the client can choose to not use this based on the user's preferences. So this is actually okay. Okay, so then we have, this is for the post-game message about who won, using their name color. This actually might, I don't know exactly how I want to render this. Like, if you are using default colors, do I want this to be the default color? Or do I want this to be the player's custom color? I don't know. It's almost like instead of using their color, I would kind of want to use whatever the board color was used by the client. So like actually sending this message through with their user data color, it doesn't necessarily make sense. So this probably needs to be reworked as well. Okay. Origin color. Oh yeah, so I have like this block history that is used. This is also confusing. I actually don't know where I use this, so I need to see where I use that too. So like, wait a minute, am I not using this anywhere? Like, I'm setting it to false here. Here I'm setting it to a player's color, and then I don't use it anywhere. I don't know if this is used at all. When I initialize the board, what is the hex color of the player who placed this block? Do I even use that? Because, like, I don't think I'm actually using that. Oh, you know what, actually? This might be used by the client. Actually, let's look at the client code. Origin color is passed. Is that what's happening here? Update block. Like, okay, so this is, what is this? This is an update block, origin color. So update block, function update block. So this is just a function, this is not a socket thing. So it gets to this from somewhere else. I'm assuming, let's see. So render board, I pass in the board, right? So render board is used in a bunch of places. I'm passing in the entire board. So if we go to the client render board, there's a function called render board. And I do have origin color. And if we go to update block, origin color is passed in. So right here. Is this the only place it's used? Right here. Yeah, so this is just used for the, I guess this is just used for the flashing on the board in between, like after a return. One of the blocks are like blinking to show you who moved. That's what this is about. And this is like kind of an issue because again, if you are not using, if your preference is not to use the player's colors and to use like a default red, blue, or whatever, and I'm passing in this hex value, that's like a problem. Like the whole way I do this needs to be somewhat reworked. It's like, I'm kind of overwhelmed by all this. Just like the way I'm doing this, right? Like color substring 1. So this is just like color hex value, and this is a class. And I have a whole thing where it adds a new style. See, this color is a 6-character hex value, and I have a thing called add new style, where I just pass in a color, and then it writes all this writes all the CSS for it. Like, so it's like, if the color has not been seen before, then write all of these CSS rules and like append it into the page, and then it has like the style information on how to color the blocks for that color. But instead of continually adding new style rules, what I really need to do kind of is have like, I kind of need like, I need like one of these for like empty blocks, and then I need one for like, I need like one of these for like player 1, I need one of these for player 2, and I need one of these for like the mixed color. And then this needs to be overwritten based on the user's preference, like if you click the button or whatever. So like it's overwhelming to me. It's a lot to change. I have to change a lot of this, and it's like, it's actually really intimidating. So really, where is it coloring the board? Like, that's done in update block, I guess. Value color, value origin color, value possession color spread. However, we have value possession. And value possession, what is exactly being sent in possession? That should be the array of the socket IDs of the players who have possession. That's what that should be. And this is actually crucial. This should be pretty crucial. It's just like, how am I gonna do this exactly? Okay. Go to update block. So, possession. Where am I using it at all? Okay, I'm setting it in a data attribute. So like, I have possession display name. So this is like the display name of who has possession, and it just uses like the word both or something if both players have it. But possession itself should actually be like an array of IDs to like let me know who has it. Is possession used anywhere else? I don't think so, but I need to start using it. This is also annoying. I'm using like this this name here, color D5CCBD as like the blank color. I need to go to the bathroom. How was my night? I don't know. Okay, so like, let's go back to the beginning here. Okay, the window loads. We got this shit. This shit appears. I actually add a style for the collision color. See, like, I'm already conflicted. So I have collision color up here. Right here, collision color. So I literally just pass in the color. I just pass it in and add a style for it. But I don't know if this is how I want to do this anymore. It's hard to find motivation to work on this when like sometimes some of the changes are like, it's like there's a bit of an overhaul needing to happen regarding the way color is handled. And it's I need to think it all through before I can really work on it. And I don't mind sitting here and trying to work through it, I suppose, but I don't know. So when there is a collision, like, is collision color, like, is that anywhere in the server code? I don't think so. So what happens then, like, under update block? If block type equals blockade, add class blockade. Now I'm all fucked up, like, was this line of code even necessary down here? I'm adding a style that's 20-20-20. But then I'm so confused. Like, is this actually... Is this necessary? I don't know. I think I might actually comment it out and just like see what happens. I'm just kind of confused because like where does the blockade color come from then? Because I have collision color. Wait, hold on. Collision color. Uh-oh. Oh, look at this. Okay, so I do use it a little bit. So I use it here. So this is for prior. Where do I add that though? Add class, here we go. Okay, so I use it here, I see. So then this would actually, removing that line of code would actually break it. It's almost like I want to have a predefined prior collision. Like, I guess the way I do this is okay, but I need to like rethink this. If we're reworking the colors, then I think there should just simply be, is it only the prior? Like, if you go to add new style, like we got, what do we got? So there's like a background color, but I only add prior though. It's not like I'm adding the class color 2020. I'm only using it for prior, I think. So right here. Oh god, it's so fucking, it's confusing, it's confusing. It's almost like I want to go into my CSS document and like, I think I'm only using it with prior. I think I could actually just make a CSS rule called prior collision and just do this. And just like set the rules for it. Oh, I'm like I feel lazy. Like I feel like I just don't want to even bother like trying to figure this out. It's like it's a puzzle that it's a puzzle, but like I feel just lazy. I feel like I'm lazy. Add new style, collision color. Add class prior collision color. Prior collision color. This is where it removes it actually. Because this is when you click. You click a block and it removes the highlighting. Okay, so it removes it there. It only adds it here and only prior. Right? Like what happens? Okay. It actually adds a class called blockade. This is a special class for collisions, which I actually have in here somewhere. Do I have highlighting for this? So blockade. Oh, I'm missing something. Blockade. Oh, it's not even used in the CSS. Okay, it's actually just probably like a flag. Where's this used? So, blockade. This is a fucking ID though. Never mind. Why am I adding class blockade? What is that? What does this do? Yeah, it's not a CSS class. I don't know. Why is this here? Add class blockade. Like, where is that being used anywhere? Like, is this being used at all? Why is this here? I don't see why this is here. This might be able to be removed. Like, I might just be able to remove this. Like, here is defining the block type blockade. Here is something called initial type. Which I'm sure doesn't use the class, right? Like where, like what is initial type? Where is initial type set? Initial type is set in the block type data, so not the class. Okay, so let's go further. If block type is not equal to blockade. Okay, where is block type defined? This is under block hover data. Block type is in the data, so it's not the class. Block type, this is something else. So here is, again, something else. That's actually not even being used right now. Okay, this is again something else. This is for something called block list editor, which I know it's not even in use right now. And then finally, add class blockade. I don't see the point of it. I don't see the point of this. I feel like there's no point to it. I'm gonna try removing this and see what happens. Okay, it broke. Why did it break? I did something wrong. There's no error message. I broke something. Oh, it might be, I think
disconnected.
I think I know why. I tried to run it in test mode, but I think I broke test mode, so let me just go to regular mode. Okay, let's go. Okay, that... Wait, why did I connect twice? What the fuck? That's not right. That's so weird. Why the fuck did it connect to me twice? Okay, let's reboot the
Disconnected.
server again. I don't know what happened. That was really weird. It connected me twice for some reason. All right. Okay, there we go. So I've connected. And now I've removed that thing. So I actually want to create a test, like a test option or something. I think. I mean, that's what the fuck. I need to think. Because in practice mode, you can't collide. Actually, I could blow up a mine, actually. Except that doesn't show prior. This is my prior move. It's not a collision. But yeah, like, I think removing that line of code, or that little thing, removing it didn't make any. Oh, it gets stoned. Actually, I might buy weed today. I think I might buy weed today and just like program today. That seems actually kind of good. I think I want like a dev test game mode or something. Anyway, that seemed to work, so that's good. Let me close the server and
Disconnected.
just like get back to the code. Okay, so that class being added was like pointless, I think. Okay, so again, so the first thing I want to work on is this right here. We have something where we add prior as a class. Like at no point ever is color collision color ever used. It's never used. This is update block. This is where it updates the block. And here we have if it's a blockade, which it will be if it's a collision. There's this. It actually writes its own CSS little thing right here. So it's not relying on the class of the color. Wait, where is it setting the color though? Wait. This is where it removes background color. Just in case this is set actually, right here. Adds class empty, which is, it's like, it has to do that for the empty squares to make them different. Okay, that's all fine and good. Where does it set color? Okay, if color is empty color. I say I don't even know why this is here. If color is not undefined. Wait, where is it setting color? Oh, here it is. Wait. Wait, where is it? Add class, color class. Where's color class? Color class. Oh, here it is. Oh, finally. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, it adds it according to the possession color spread. Oh, see, this is a problem right here. This is a problem. This is a problem. Because I'm actually sending in the color as a hex value in the possession color spread instead of sending in, like, if it's like player 1, 2, or mixed, or none. It's almost like it's like like currently it's like a 4-state system. I mean, unless it's unless there's like a collision or something, but do I have to check for that specifically? I don't think so. Anyway, we're adding the class for the color, and this is a problem. This is a problem. This is problem. It really needs to be like, it really should be like color empty, color creator, or instead of creator it could be player 1, color player 2, color mixed, or something like that. There's like, it's like 4 states. I need like a 4-state system, and it should not be passing in hex stuff at all. But the client needs to keep track of what the player's color would be using, or it has to keep track of their like actual, like their name color. It needs to know that so you can swap on the fly. Anyway though, this is interesting because first of all, having prior collision color, like instead of adding a new style and adding all that style for the collision color, I think there should be actually like a specific, there should just be like prior collision, and then this should already be defined, and it should skip all that other CSS and only do the prior. I think that's actually what should, I think that's like the next step, kind of. It's kind of like this needs to be prior collision. So like this should be like, it should be like this. And then instead of, then way down here, instead of like add new style collision color, I should already have this in my CSS document. So basically, I think what actually could happen here is I could run my game. It'll add the style in the header, and then I'll open up the inspector and just like copy the prior collision color and then just paste it into my CSS document and delete this line of code. I think that's actually the solution. That is actually the solution. So let us now save. We're going to run the game. npm start. Give it 13 seconds to boot up, because I minify the shit for some reason. Okay. Still waiting. No, it's good. Okay, here it is. Pa-ba! So it's running, and it already ran that line of code. So now, all I have to do is inspect, and then in the head, there's gonna be dynamic style, color 2020. This is collision color. And then we just need prior. So actually, right, where is prior? So here's prior before. Where's prior? We need some of this. Okay, here's prior before. Wait, why is it before? Is it always like that? Okay, so we need the origin 2020 as well. We need both of those. We need this. Okay, we need this. I think this is all we need. This bit right here. Am I wrong? Because color 2020 is never set. It's only prior. Like, here's color 2020. Here's color empty. SVG border. Again, this is not used. SVG border 2, it's not used. SVG outline, it's not used. Jewel, not used. Keyframes for the jewel, not used. Empty, not used. Highlighted, not used. Prior is used. And origin is used. The animation for origin is used. So, copy. That should be it. So, close it. Where's my code? Okay, so in the style sheet, I think I can just plop it right here, like. Okay, so instead of prior 2020, it should be prior collision. And we can make it look a little bit less fucked. So here's animation, content, display, height, width, position, left, top, background color, box shadow, and then here's keyframes for origin collision. This needs to be origin collision. Here's the keyframes. And I think that's everything. Alright, so now we have this. It's in the style sheet. Now, in here, we don't need to add new style collision color. We don't need that anymore. This is no longer used. And now, under the function update block, we add class prior collision. And we delete this. And then we also look for a collision color, which is used here. And instead of this line right here, this needs to be rewritten as prior collision. Remove class prior collision. And now, I believe it to work. Is there anywhere else where collision color is used? It is no longer used. So now, the collision color is no longer used. Alright, that's one less thing to worry about. What program do I use to code cosmic blocks? I use Notepad++. Alright, so now we're no longer adding new styles. Okay, so sidebar resize, it runs the function online play, which is kind of a big function. Here's online play. Connect. It's not gonna add new style until it has to, I think, update a block. Like, let's look everywhere add new style is called. Okay, so this is an update block. This is when you add the color style. So this is the thing we're trying to replace. Okay, where else is it used? Only here. This is the only place it's used. We don't need this anymore. So this is the only place it's used, is under update block. I believe empty color is actually passed in via the server though. So that's why at the top of my server code, I have this empty color. Try to remove this. So I want to try to remove this. So it would pass in color, because then if it goes, so where's empty color used? Empty color is used when it initializes the board. It sets the actual color to this hex value, signifying empty color. It's also equivalent, so if it wants to find what color a block should be, it merely needs the list of who is possessing the block, and if the length of that possession array is 0, then it's empty, and so it's returning this hex value. But this should not be in the server code. It should not be doing this. So where else? Where it's used initially when it's initializing the board, and it's used when it's getting the color, and that's it. So this is something to worry about. Basically, I think this color this doesn't need to exist. This value does not need to exist. It does not need to exist. This needs to be eliminated. So how are we gonna do that? Basically, color comes in through updating the block under render board, and where's color used first? Right now it's just dealing with the block type. Oh, here we go. So this is the first instance of it being used. If the color's not undefined, it means it's trying to set a color. Now really, what should happen, what really needs to happen here is I think it really just needs possession. I think possession needs to come through. What is required by Twitch for me to get more emote slots? More subscribers? I'm glad I'm already making progress. Actually, you know what? Let's upload the new style sheet and the new client code. So here's the client code, here's the style sheet. Make sure it's not broken. Seems fine. Right. Again, I can't really test collisions by myself currently, so it's annoying, but oh well. Disconnected. Thank you, Blair. I'm having a pretty okay day today so far. This is the first mention of color under update block, and actually, I need to figure out what's even happening here. It's not even, I understand what's happening here. It's not weird. If color equals empty color, it needs to just know if it's empty, but it should know if block type is blank though. Oh, but that, if block type's blank, it's still confusing. Wait, where's empty color defined? It's just up here. This is like, this should be eliminated. Okay, come on. This is actually weird to me because I thought I'd do this color luminance thing when it's just an empty block. Like, I don't know. Yeah, this is kind of weird, actually. I don't know why this is like this. This is actually a little weird. Because if it's empty, that should be already be defined in the CSS. Like, why is this like this? Like, it should be under add new style. See, look, empty. Wait, no, hold on, where is it? Empty. Like, I'm already defining how the background color should be set. So why am I setting it down there too? It's confusing. Da 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 da. I'm actually really curious what happens if I just comment this out. Oh, this is rendered incorrectly. This should be brighter color. That's what it does. This should be brighter color. Yeah, see, this is the wrong color. It's for these tiles that have no color on them. Like, you notice how there's like the richer color here and it's a little bit faded. These blocks should be more solid looking. They're currently just like outlined, but there should be a little bit brighter background. That's what that does. It's a bit weird way to do it, I guess. It's a bit strange. But again, color should not be something that gets passed in. What should be passed in is possession, which should be an array of a certain length. So this should almost be like if Well, sometimes you update a block and you don't pass in this information. I guess it's like if type of possession is not... Here, let's try something. So it's like, I think maybe I should do if type of possession is not equal to undefined, then... see, we're already running into a problem. So if color equals empty color, so instead of if color equals empty color, this needs to be if possession dot length equals 0. That might actually do it. So let's see if this code works as a replacement. Disconnected. That broke everything. What happened? Possession is not defined. Did I spell it wrong? Did I fucking spell it wrong? Oh man, typo. Oh, if you want to see the mess I just made. It started rendering this, then it just broke like part of the way. It just got up to that block and it was like, error, error. Okay, so let's fix it. Disconnected. That worked. Look, it worked. Why did it work though? This shouldn't have any possession. Oh, it doesn't. It's possession length equals 0. But yeah. So this should all work then. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Looking good. So I actually eliminated the use of color from that code and it worked. So that's excellent. Can you elaborate on that, Strophium? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, so this code works. Okay, so the next issue is this: if color is not equal to undefined. This is a problem. This is a goddamn problem right here. Is null and undefined the same thing? I don't know, whatever. I almost wonder if this code... Wait, what is this? Oh, this is only if it's not blank, which actually makes a ton of sense. This actually suddenly makes a lot of sense now. Okay, whatever. So down here, we need to basically we need to eliminate color from everything. Is null undefined? Is that the same thing? Yeah, I do type of. Like, look. If type of possession is not equal to undefined, this is how I check if it's defined. I use this frequently. Type of undefined. So color should not be passed in. The only thing that matters is the possession array. This is what really matters. Undefined is distinct. Yeah, I've found checking type of for undefined has been really useful for me, like in many places. It prevents my shit from breaking. I need to figure out how to do this. It's scary. This is really scary. Again, like this, like removing these color classes, like I shouldn't have to this is gonna be totally different once I'm done rewriting this. I need to figure out how to do it though. I made some progress. Like I'm currently not using color all the way up until here, but this is where it gets really heavy. Like this is where it gets heavy. No, when you're dealing with type of, it's always a string. I kind of hate streaming coding because like I'm trying to solve problems, then people go off on these like ridiculous tangents that are like super unrelated to what I'm doing. How am I gonna do this? Fuck. Do I set the color anywhere else? Let me see if let me see if I'm doing this shit elsewhere. It's only here. This is the only place. This is where this is where it needs to change. This is where all the evil, this is the evil. This is evil right here. This is where the evil is. I need to change it. This is like the critical, this is the critical code right here. Starting with this line, if type of color is undefined, is not undefined. This is the critical evil. The critical evil. This is where all the heavy issue is. You don't understand why I need to pull the color out of this section, because when we have the player colors on the board, some player colors are kind of similar, and so they blend together, and it makes the board less readable. And so the proposed solution, which I think is a good one, is to allow you to swap to a default set of colors with a button press. And also, perhaps even on an options page, be able to define your own preferences for how the colors should be. So it's based on user preference and it's not set in stone on how to render it. So the fact that I'm doing stuff like passing in a hex code from the server and then adding a class called that hex code and adding a bunch of CSS to deal with that class, it needs to be rewritten to simply have sort of it's like kind of 4 states. It's like no possession, player 1 possession, player 2 possession, and player 1 and 2 both have possession. So there's like 4 states with a 2-player game. When there's more players, then it needs to be even more complicated, but I'm not worrying about 4 players yet. So the goal then is to not pass color from the server, except the client does need to know what the player's colors are in case you want to use them, but it should be able to color the players based off of like user preference. So basically this value color is coming from the server. It's saying this square should be this color, and that's like not how this should work. Instead, it needs to be like this square has player 1 possession only, for example. So currently I can test if possession length is 0, then it's blank color. So instead of actually passing the blank color through the server, which I currently do, which looks like this, this is the blank color. And this is complicated because I have an animation. Like I have an animation I have to play. So I'm like, under this timeout loop, I'm like actually adding classes and like removing classes and like doing this like over and over. And like, yeah, this is gonna be based on user preference colors and not just these set colors. So I need to like rework all of this. This is the code I really need to rework to make this work. So I have to change all of this. So yeah, I need to redo, and even down here, all the way down here, there's still, I'm using this prior color string instead of like prior P1 or something, or prior mixed, you know? And then, see, that's the thing, right? It's kind of like I need, instead of on the fly adding new styles, wait, where do I do that? Right here, look. It takes in the color from the server. It checks if there is a style element that defines how to color the squares based on the hex color. And if it doesn't exist, then it just runs this code to add a new style to the header. Now that works really well, but now that we're changing it up, I shouldn't be constantly adding new styles. What I should be doing is overwriting. I need to be overwriting styles, and there needs to be a set number of styles. And in a 2-player game, which the game is currently maximum 2 players, there's gonna be 4 styles based on 0 possession, player 1 possession, player 2 possession, and player 1 and player 2 possession. So basically, instead of adding new styles, there needs to be like 4 predefined styles. And actually, the one that uses the default color should probably not be running in code here. This should probably be just already in my style sheet, like already defined. And I don't have to mess with that one. That one should be like predefined. But the other three, that's player 1, player 2, and player 1 and player 2. Those 3 styles need to be on the fly updating. So it should be like update style instead of add new style. And it should only do update style when either the player changes the color by their own click of a button, or when you join a game and there's a different player in it and you're using not default colors, then it would have to update the style as well. So like I have to do that basically. And it gets more complicated with the color spread animation. Like this makes it more complicated. Oh, it's confusing, fuck. Can I define this as a function that takes all the color arguments and updates the style? Well, I think there should be a function. Okay. There should be a function that takes 2 colors, finds the mixed color, and updates 3 of those styles. That should be a function. So I need to write a function that it's called update styles. There needs to be a function called update styles that takes in 2 hex values. I think that's actually the case. And it would effectively run this 3 times. So if we go to function add new style, I need to basically run this code 3 times. I need to pass in 2 values and then run this 3 times. And then instead of having a specific string called color whatever, this just needs to be like color P1, color P2, color mixed. It needs to be like that. Kind of like that. It's like I need function update styles. And then this will take hex 1, hex 2, or p1 hex, p2 hex, something like that. So basically, I have this function mix, color, then like how much you mix it. So this would be useful. So it'd be like, it'd basically be like mix equals mix p1 hex, p2 hex, 50. So now I have the mixed value. So now I got my 3 values, and then it'd be like, it's like I almost want to call add new style, but actually I don't want to add a new style, I want to overwrite style. I'm gonna copy this. I don't want to destroy it. Okay, so we're gonna call this update style. And then you got the color, and then you have what do you call this? Like like state or something? Or like who or something? I don't know. Who? So then style ID equals like so like this would be like, okay, so basically like update style p1 p1 hex. Oh, this needs to be reversed. Which, and then hex or color. Update style p2 hex, update style mixed, something like this. And then this would be like, this would simply be which. So it'd be like color p1, color p2. And then instead of appending, you would just want to remove it. Or you'd want to like empty it or something. Let's see, how do I do it? I append a style tag, and then what? I just append the rule? Yeah, okay. So just remove everything in it. So just be like, you would just want to be like, style ID empty, and then instead of head appends, you don't need this anymore. This does not need to exist. This will already exist. This would just be in the header of the page or something. Like, you wouldn't append this. This would already be pre-existing. This would already exist. So this would not be a thing. And then you set up the rule. And then you just append the rule. So yeah, it would be something like this. So basically, I would have four styles already in the header. Actually, let me search for dynamic style. So when you disconnect, it removes it. That's fine, whatever. So, okay, so I think the next step is to take the empty style and just actually add it to the CSS. It should just already exist, I think. Or, yeah, I don't know. It could just already exist, I think. In the CSS. Just like I have like collision prior, I could also have empty. So the next step then is to actually look at that. So let's go inspect. So if you look at the header, there's dynamic style. This one is the empty one. So all of this can just exist in my style sheet right here. I need to figure out a better name for it though. So in the style sheet, so we have prior. Here's this. So this should be color. It's not empty. It's no possession. I guess I'll just call it no possession or something. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. I could probably write this cleaner because I'm using Sass, but I'm just gonna be lazy right now. Is this a fucking comma? Yeah, okay. There, let me write this cleaner. I know these are like, I mean this could be one line. It doesn't have to be. These doesn't have to be 2 lines. The other one, the big one though. Once there's multiple CSS lines, I'm just gonna like make it like this, just for like legibility. So this is a big one. So background color, cursor, oh no, this one's actually not big, it tricked me. So here's the prior, no possession. So animation, origin, no possession. Content, display, height, width, position, left, top, background color, box shadow, and then we got the keyframes for no possession. This actually, I'm a little worried that I'm going to be breaking some of my other code by doing it like this. I'm actually a little bit nervous about it. Oh, whoops, 0%, 40%, 60%, 100%. Alright, so now we have no possession. Written in the style sheet. You're saying it'd probably be better to dynamically create it. I mean, maybe. It could be dynamically created, but like it would be created according to, it would be updated, like the same rules that update the other colors is used to create this. So like maybe it's bad to split it because I'm still going to be dynamically updating it via JavaScript, so having it in two places might be not great, maybe. I mean, the thing with the prior collision is that I'm only taking a little slice of it, and I only use this a little bit, so like this one feels fine. Perhaps this would be better to like perhaps this would be better to do in the JavaScript. I don't know. Let me look at this again. Yeah, Nathan, I can see that. Perhaps you're right, and this could just be used. Basically, in that case, this would just have to be called one. Just this one thing should be called once. Basically, I would just have update style. Here, I'll show you how I would do it. All the way down here. Remember where we created the collision color? Well, now we're gonna do update style, no possession. And actually, we can actually pass in the value for empty color here. And I think it shouldn't, I don't think it should actually sit here. So I'm just gonna, I think I actually will just pass it in, like right here. I think it's fine to do this, actually. Okay, so if we're changing our mind, then this can be deleted all the way until here. This can just be deleted then. Never mind about that. So we're just gonna do this right here. So in this case, we got this. Make it so update style creates if it doesn't exist yet. I mean, that's what I mean, wait, hold on. I actually need the index. We're gonna be updating the index. Like right now I don't have anything in the head here with the style tags, but I want to just have the empty tags ready to go in the index. I think that's fine to do. So let me find, so add new style, or yeah. So this like appends. I just want this to exist. This should just exist. Right, these should just be ready to go. So this should be 4 of them, and the ID should be no possession. P1. Actually, is calling this ID P1. That might be bad, actually. I'm just gonna call it P1, or like P1 color, P2 color, mixed color or something. Or no color or something. Something like this. Just have these here. Just have these here ready to go. This doesn't even need to be dynamic style. The other 3 are dynamic. The only reason I have it called dynamic style is because, well, these 3 are dynamic. This one shouldn't be. Actually, it could be if there's theming. I'll just keep it, it's fine. Okay, no color, P1 color, P2 color, mixed color. That seems fair. Seems fair. So now, here we have update style. So we got P1 color, P2 color, mixed color, right? Yes. Yeah, and then way down here I have to change it. Update style, no color. So there we go. Get rid of this. And oh, this doesn't need to be here. Style ID is which. I could actually just call it style ID. This doesn't need to exist. Okay. Let's get rid of this too. Alright. Alright. Get rid of the shit I don't need. So this should actually work really well. This should work perfectly. But now, of course, there's a lot more to do. So let's look at the globals. There needs to be some information here, right? This is stupid. I want to get rid of this. Yeah, okay. I feel like what we need here is like some variables regarding we need some we need these to not only do we need the current colors in the clients, we also need like not only do we need like the we need some shit. We need some stuff. We need some stuff. It's like we need like custom P1, custom P2, custom mixed. Or maybe we don't need to store the mixed color actually. Yeah, I think we just need, well, yeah, we don't need to, we just need to store 4 values. I think we need 4 values, so it's like, we need like, it's like P1, server color or something, like, just have an object. Yeah, okay, so colors. There's to be there's 4 values here. It's like, you also need to know which one's active. Oh, it's so fucking confusing. How am I gonna do this? Okay, so there's gonna be server colors, client colors, and there's also gonna be preference. So it's gonna be like preference equals server. Actually, whoops. Preference server, and then we got like server colors is a fucking, it's an array of like it's gonna be 2 strings, and then you have like client colors, which is also an array of 2 strings. Something like this. Or yeah, preference. It's something like this. So this should actually be this should be a string. Yeah, something like this would work. So these 4 values would be populated from the server. The client colors would come from a database attached to your profile. The server colors would come from the name colors that the current active players in the game have. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Something like this. So server has the color of player 1 and player 2, has the name color, database name color of player 1 and player 2. Client has your personal preference. For player 1 / player 2. I don't know how to word this very well. How do I word this? Like, this is hard to word. I think calling it server and client might actually be confusing. It's not really server and client. It's like, I mean, it kind of is, like, I don't know how to. The name here is kind of confusing. I might change it later. This is not ready to go yet. Like, there's still a lot to do. Like, okay, what do we have? We have add new style. Okay, so instead of adding new style, we have update style, update styles. So update styles is going to be called, so this will be called either when you join a game and it needs to, yeah, either when you join a game or new play, or like, this will be called when a player joins a game, or when you join a game, or when you click a button to swap to default / custom colors, or when you change. No, yeah, those are the instances it'll be called, I think. Players and override, yeah, perhaps. So add new style should not be called anymore. Where is it used? It's used in update block. It's only used in update block. Right here, this is once again, all of this, once again, this is the code that needs to change on the client. Is there a button to change your person color? You can re-roll for a new color. You cannot manually select your color, but you can re-roll and try to get a new color. And you have a limited number of re-rolls that you get when you win battles or when you play battles. So you get the opportunity to swap your color sometimes, but it's not fully under your control. Okay, one more problem is that we need to know who is player 1 and who is player 2. That's a problem. So like, I'll have this possession string. this is truly what is going to be used for determining what color, like basically it just needs to know who's player 1, who's player 2. So that's something else that needs to be like known at all times, I feel. I guess known at all times. I mean, or it can pass that in the update block information, but yeah, I feel like it should pass in possession, and then it should also, maybe when the game starts, it should know who's player 1 and who's player 2. I don't know. I'm not really sure how I want to do this. I think I need a little break. Holy shit. Oh god. I don't think I broke anything, but like it's only half done. It's like not even halfway done. Sort of feeling like a break or something. Okay, I check if it's undefined. When is it undefined? I need to search for every instance of update block and see when it is undefined. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7th parameter. Update block. So when you're on the menu container, it runs update block, but it doesn't, it's just updating the type. Like this is when you're like, yeah, this is like, I use update block not just between turns, but also during turns when you're like not just when a turn happens, but when you're like picking your move. I just run update block to update the type. So again, when you leave, when your mouse leaves, then it changes again. Okay, here's another instance. Okay, so which one is this? Don't know if this chunk of code matters anymore. Players cannot quit a game in progress anymore. Rand int. I think this code is like ancient. What the fuck? Yeah, this might be some ancient fucking code. So this is sketchy. I don't know what's happening here. Maybe I should just see if I can remove this code. What is going on? What is this rand int, really? Oh, this code is so old. This is like so old. I don't know how much of this is going on, like when I don't know. Oh, fuck. Okay, I don't know what's happening there. Okay, so when you click, oh, this is also some old code. This is like code that's not even in use right now. Here's the real update block. This is when you actually, when it has to render the board. It has value color coming in. So these other ones doesn't have that, so it doesn't run that code. So when it's called in the other update blocks, it doesn't have to worry about all this code. So basically, if you go to function update block, like this code just doesn't run when it's not doing render board. So I guess I mean I might be checking for possession though, because it doesn't pass in possession unless it's doing up render board as well. So this could actually simply be if type of possession is not equal to undefined. So let me once again copy all this shit. Okay, so we're just gonna paste it. If type of possession is not equal to undefined. Okay, so remove all this extra bloat. Just confusing. Just remove it. Get rid of it. Eliminate the bloat. Okay, so remove any prior color class. What, this? Okay, so the color class we'd be talking about would actually be, where's that index? Here. No color, P1 color, P2 color, and mixed color. I believe, right? I mean, this is an ID, but there should be like CSS with classes in there. Like this is just an HTML ID. Because if we look at update style, it does dot style ID. So that's like dot P1 color. So these are the things that need to be eliminated when you do update block. Okay, so instead of this crazy regular expression, instead of this, it just needs to be id.remove class. So remove class doesn't need the dot. It already knows it's a class. So it's just no color. Actually, yeah, could I just, actually, hold on, let me look up jQuery remove multiple classes. One or more CSS classes that are separated by spaces. Okay, so no color, P1 color, P2 color, mixed color. Okay, so there you go. So this is eliminated. Okay, so now it's like, so now it's like checking if it add a style. This does not need to happen. This does not need to happen. So that's gone. That's fucking gone. Yes, I add a class to the block. Okay, remove class. Okay, so now it's going into the possession color spread, which is confusing. Because this has to do with the server code, which needs to change. See, this has a color attached to it, which is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem. It's bad. So this is confusing and I need to go to the server code and figure this out. And again, we can't just add class color hex string. So this is a problem. This is a problem. This is fine, but this is not fine. This needs to be like prior P1 color, right? But it has to know which one. It has to know which one. It needs to know which class we're dealing with. I have the color? No, I don't have the color. The reason I don't have the color is because we don't know if it's player one. We have a possession array. It's a list of IDs, okay? The client needs to know somehow which ID is which player in the game. And it also needs to assign, in that object that we made, it has to assign what the colors should be. So it has to do all that. Like, look, I'm passing in color here. This is already like fatally flawed. This is flawed. This is flawed. I can't be passing color here. I can't pass this here. This is not something allowed. Well, even before I start the game, I have to know what the colors should be. We're getting closer, but like there's still a lot to do. I'm so terrified of this possession color spread variable. Because it actually has a color value, which is incorrect. This is incorrect. Look, either the server needs to pass information like P1 or mixed, or the server just needs to pass the IDs, and then the client will have to also know what ID corresponds to player 1 or player 2. And of course, when you initially join or start a game, the server also needs to pass which colors are associated with which IDs, but allow the client to overwrite that with the player preferences if that's like what the player wants. So this is data, possession color, right? Like this, we're already seeing a flaw here. And where is this even used? I think it's used in like block hover data. Hover data. Yeah, see like possession color. See this? You see this right here? Possession color. I'm grabbing a color value from this data, but this is wrong. This is wrong. Possession color needs to be determined by that preference value. So like this needs to be rewritten too. Like it's a lot to do. It's a lot to do, and I'm a little intimidated still. I'm intimidated. In the meantime, I'll just comment this out and just be like, new color engine work in progress. And if I upload all of this, it should all run actually. It should actually run fine. Disconnected. Like, it shouldn't break. It should still work. Still works fine. Is it time for more anime? Is it time to get high? Is it time for lunch? I don't fucking know. I don't know. Feels like a good time for a break, honestly.